Hey guys, welcome back. Good evening. This is Donna Sharp with Holistic Wellbeing. Thank you for joining me once again here on another live day. Today is, and you guys are probably going to look at me and think I'm really crazy, but I believe today is Thursday. Yes? Yes. Something like that. Anyway, as long as we're living life the way we should, then everything should be fine, right? So the past 3 days I've been speaking on indecisiveness and just giving you some tidbits on how to make better decisions and how to not keep yourself captive or in hostage based on allowing people around you to make decisions for you. So if you did not get a chance to watch those lives, I'm going to encourage you to go back and just hit the replay button, which is basically playing it again. And but you'll notice that I title all of the lives. So if you're wondering what it's about, you typically will see a main category and maybe a subtopic directly under it as the one that I have tonight. So I'm going to go back to the book because we're almost finished with the book. I spoke on that for about 4 weeks and I segued for about 3 or 4 days. And so tonight what I'm going to do is go back to the book because we're just about finished on how to create and develop a strong family, right, in your household. So I want to talk to you tonight specifically about traditions, Thanksgiving traditions. But we have been talking about a few characteristics that helps to hold the family together. And it's broken down some more in this book under different categories to show, excuse me, to show how children begin to appreciate certain things and traditions that they actually experience in the household based on what they went through when they were younger. And they'll typically talk about it when they become older and they'll say, I remember when, and this is what this is how it made me feel. So this is a great one here tonight. It speaks to family traditions, and a couple of the attributes that this actually helps is values. It helps to strengthen the values with not just your children, but your overall family as well. It helps with the communication process, education, sensitivity, and guidance. And those are the attributes that it's really going to assist with. All right. So Thanksgiving cards is a normal thing, or Christmas cards that you will always do. But what they're encouraging you to do in this book is do a handwritten note instead. You know, these days, a lot of people don't write in cursive anymore. And it's funny because you have the teenagers that may they'll look at your handwriting and they'll skip over it because they say, I don't understand what that says. So they don't teach them calligraphy, the nice script like they typically do. They're always gravitating to typing something on the computer versus writing something down. So if you notice, there's not a lot of note taking these days from the youngsters. They're on their phones, they're on their computer, and they'll text, and that's their way of communicating in a written way. So handwritten cards are great because it's very personal when you do that for someone, because they're going to see that you actually spent time writing that particular card out and you've put some thought and your heart into it, as opposed to just getting something that's typed and written out. Okay. So there are several advantages to the handwritten cards. Thanksgiving lends itself to a simple message written yourself to your friends and family. Essentially is expressing your gratitude for them. It's always nice to share with them what you are grateful for during the Thanksgiving time, right? And then the second thing is most people are a little less busy just before Thanksgiving than just before Christmas. As you know, many people often are prepping gifts and who to gift to and who to send this to and who to mail our picture of our family to, right? So a lot of that takes place in Christmas as opposed to what it does in Thanksgiving. So you have more time to sit down and really write out that handwritten card. And the third thing is you'll get more Christmas cards than ever before, because everyone who gets your Thanksgiving card will feel obligated to send you a Christmas card. Now, it should never be that you're sending something where someone feel like they have to reciprocate. Some people are just natural card senders. You ever have that one friend in your family that you go to the mailbox and then you check your mail and there's a card that comes from them every single year? Some people are just disciplined in certain ways as it pertains to different parts of their life. And that simple gesture some people are just great at that. And it could fall back on those elements that I spoke on. You remember when I spoke about the fire element, the earth, the metal, all those people, they have different characteristics that determines how they function on a daily basis and what makes them tick, right? So they may be a metal person where they're just having to spend more time just diligently writing it out and finding the address and actually mailing it out to their friends and families, right? Some of the other people may not do that, the earth or the fire people, right? So Thanksgiving, so here are a couple of things, Thanksgiving thankful lists that you can keep in mind. Get a roll of cash register paper and make a numbered list of things family members are grateful for. One family member acting as scribe lists everything anyone in the family says. Pianos, hot dogs, dogwood trees, wow, of all the words, right? Our new driveway, freedom, perspective, CDs, the fall of communism, lower mortgage rates, monarch, butterfly, rain, and so on. In most families, the list will be rather long, and a certain group dynamic will operate as minds shift to different categories of blessings. So they're arbitrarily just blurting things out, the first thing that comes to their mind, and they're going to build something around it. So if you have a Thanksgiving prayer or blessing on the food at your Thanksgiving meal, give thanks collectively for all the things on your list. So, and these are just items that came to their mind, right? Sometimes it's nice to brainstorm, and when you're brainstorming, it's nice to let things freely flow, as they did here. You'll be amazed at some of the words that you're saying. It's typically some things that may be resonating in your subconscious mind. And so you'll just blurt things out because the subconscious mind tends to hold on to those deeper memories that we have, and we don't necessarily deal with them on a daily basis as we do things that are in our conscious mind. I did a whole live series on that. The conscious mind is the mind that you use on a regular daily basis. And if you don't know, that's typically used 10% of the time. That is not good, guys. You have all these people in the world operating on 10% of their brain, right? The other 90% is where all those things that we aspire to resolve or deal with, it's buried. And there are certain times that resonates and comes to the surface. So I segued, I apologize, but that was a whole live I did several months ago. So understand that when you're blurting things out, I also did a live on how to brain dump. If you're blurting things out and everything's, whatever it is, try not to put any order to it. I did a live on brain dumping. And when you dump things out, you're going to take things out of your spirit that you've always wanted to deal with, but you never did because you buried it for some reason or another. Maybe it was a hurt. Maybe it was something you feel like I can't deal with that right now, so I'm just going to set that aside. I don't know, but I do know that you have a subconscious area, and oftentimes things are behind padlock. Well, we need to release those and allow them to start to work for the good in our lives, all right? So that's what they did here. They brain dump, and that's why you heard some of these interesting things. Dog, perspective, CDs, dogwood trees, and so on and so forth. Now, here's another Thanksgiving tradition you might want to keep in mind for your family and your children. Thanksgiving helps for the homeless. Either in place or in addition to your own traditional meals, bring food to a shelter on Thanksgiving Day or invite homeless people, a less fortunate family, or people from foreign countries to come to your home and eat with you. Now, I don't know if you can have just any homeless person come to your house. This is suggested in the book, but use your discretion, all right? All of them may not be just peaceful. Some of them may have some mental issues. You want to make sure you're being cautious about that, all right? And the other thing is dress up. It doesn't take much, a few feathers, a pilgrim hat for children to get characters for Thanksgiving, and perhaps to reenact Indian meetings, settlers, and sharing their food. It's much more fun if the parents dress up too. So it's not always the children doing the things you want. Children just love to see when the parents act goofy because they know that we are human, and they know that it's not always about the strictness of things and about order, and you just have to loosen up as a parent because when they see that, their responsiveness is going to be much better. So again, the longevity of family traditions you start illustrated in a letter from Serene about her first Thanksgiving in Bulgaria. I want to read this letter to you from this young lady because it was very interesting. But what made it interesting is because something really stand out in there that they knew is something they needed to do for one of their meals, but they didn't have certain things, certain items, so they had to ad lib. And because they ad lib, it allowed this to stick out in her mind in particular. So I'm going to read that to you really quick. We tried our best to cook ourselves Thanksgiving dinner. For a turkey, all we could find was 2 halves of a chicken. So we tied them together with a hanger, and baked them. We mashed potato, but we had nothing but yogurt to put in them. So they turned out tasting interesting. Interesting is a very good word to use, right? It's not in the norm, pretty much. So we had a lot of opinions on how to make gravy. Oh, Mom, our rolls were terrible. They rose and fell during and turned out very rock-like. I'll never make fun of your rolls again. I made everyone tell me what they were thankful for and wrote it all down on a list. Everything from heaters to public restrooms to ovens that sometimes work. I also made everyone wear pilgrim on Indian hats. It was quite a hilarious scene. Everyone in funny paper hats crammed into a tiny Bulgarian kitchen, discussing what they were thankful for and the constitution of gravy. So you heard all these different things that took place that wasn't necessarily what they expected, but they made do. They ad lib, but because they ad lib, it stood out to her when she became a young adult, right? So I wanted to share that with you today about Thanksgiving traditions, and maybe you have your own traditions right now that you're doing and you wanted to add a little spice to it. So these were just suggestions that they're given from the book. As I mentioned, I've been speaking from the 3 Steps to a Strong Family by Linda and Richard Erie. And that was their creativeness that they did with their family. And that was a result of the young lady and what she felt when she went into college, got a little bit older, and she could think back and say, you know what? That might have been crazy then with those rock muffins and yogurt in this. But I remembered it so well. And that's what makes it nice. The traditions then form memories that you're able to take along for a very, very, very long time, right? Take ahead. So that's what I wanted to speak with you on tonight. I'm going to touch on a couple more topics that they speak on just before I close out of this book. But in the meantime, I do pray that the lessons I spoke on the past 3 days were beneficial to you to the point that you're trying to practice the best ways to make decisions in your life so that you can free yourself and not feel like you're always in bondage, holding back some of the things you may want to necessarily say, not just in your mind all the time, but verbalizing it outwardly so that you can look at the situation, dissect it, and be confident in yourself to make that next move. All right. So I will be back again tomorrow to speak with you guys. If you love what you heard, please hit the love button. Outside of that, please share it with your family members and friends, and log on to my website if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about myself. And that's holisticwellbeing.com. So thank you guys for joining. I will see you back here again tomorrow evening. Have a great night. Ciao.